Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Zombieland Double Tap. And I enjoyed this movie, but it really wasn't good. It's not like the worst movie ever, but it really is not a very good sequel to Zombieland. I mean, it takes all of the funny things that you had seen in Zombieland and pretty much just brought them back for more with just not even rejiggering it or anything. It's really kind of odd. I'd more almost say that this is someone else's attempt at a remix of a song 10 years after the fact, trying to copy that, and that's it. Because it just goes on the same kind of cliched stories and just really doesn't do much character wise with anyone. They just feel like one dimensional characters kind of moving around going through the motions. Like, we get reintroduced to the world, and it's kind of funny and everything, talking about like all different kind of zombie offerings, and then going into kind of new variants of zombies with like a really stupid zombie Homer. We got a really smart zombie Stephen Hawking, and then we got a ninja one, which we never really see. Except from it just being mentioned. I'm like, okay, so you told us about something and didn't use it again. Alright, they actually introduce another type of zombie that pretty much becomes the mainstay of the zombies, so it's more like, alright, that they've pretty much taken over the zombie variants, so what point is it in really mentioning any of the other variants? Like, odd variants will pop up, but they mainly just do the Homer one most of the time, and then like a Stephen Hawking one pops up every now and then, smart for just odd reasons. So we get into it. We get into the bigger kind of start where they have the Metallica song and everything. I kind of liked it at first, but thinking back, I'm like, oh, this is just pretty much copying the original one, as we see, of course, Tallahassee, Columbus, Wichita, and Little Rock just beating the shit out of zombies. Granted, it was nice and effective. I liked seeing, oh, okay, great effects wise, nice ways to kill zombies and everything. Though, in all practicality, a grenade launcher only would work better in really enclosed groups. That's just a tactical thing for me, more than like, oh, okay, that zombie got kind of blown up, but not really. So you're gonna have to deal with that later, kind of thing, more than anything. But I understand that it was just used for kind of a shock and awe effect as they decide to take over the White House. And of course, we get the usual jokes like, "I'd make a damn fine president." Those cigars have probably been here since the Clinton administration. But they essentially settle into domestic kind of things that they usually do, doing Christmas at odd times. And of course, Little Rock is chafing under Tallahassee pretty much being a dad figure to her. But I mean, it's not even really shown why. She just automatically turns into bitch teen mode and wants to go get fucked. Pretty much get a boyfriend and do whatever the fuck she wants. I'm like, okay. It's like the barest minimum of just, oh, teen angst and wants to get laid. That's all her character pretty much is throughout the movie. And then when the plot conveniences us to need her to do something else, she does it. While this is going on, Columbus and Wichita are doing their usual kind of thing, evidently pretty much taking up residence where there's a Lincoln photograph, and just seeing how they handle domestic squabbles, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll put the blindfold back on Abe, and I'm like, I don't know why you wouldn't. You know? Like, honestly, it's kind of just like, alright, I mean, oh, Abraham Lincoln's kind of interesting, but them eyes, man, I get Wichita's side more of just like, why don't you just take the fucking thing down? But he then, pretty much to try to get out of that little scrape, decides to one-up himself and propose to her with the Hope Diamond or whatnot. And she freaks out, and Wichita and Little Rock run. And, of course, Columbus mopes and everything. Tallahassee and him kind of like go out, and they go on a mall run, and they run into Madison, who is the bimbo. That's it. She is like literally too stupid for zombies to go after, which I wish they had ran with more, because we've never really seen that done in a zombie movie before, where someone is so stupid the zombies actually consider them to not have brains and don't go after them. There could have been a lot of comedy and a lot of things done with that, but of course, mainly this is all potential and, well, not even potential. That's the only thing that really had potential, and we're not going to cover on that. So she really doesn't like Tallahassee, but of course, Columbus is not being an argumentative asshole, and they kind of get together. And she had evidently been living in a freezer in the mall for years and wants to get laid herself. So everybody's pretty much trying to get laid. That's pretty much this whole movie. But yet somehow most of the teen movies that handle it better, like Superbad, Sex Drive, Animal House, a lot of the other ones handle it better than this. I mean, seriously, that is pretty much the driving force of this. It's kind of freaky. But, of course, as they're settling in for their stuff, they hear a noise at one point, and we find out that Wichita comes back because they had encountered a Berkeley dude who is essentially... It's funny, they're like... Pretty much be like, oh, I'm not your typical Berkeley dude. He's like, I'm a hack musician dude who pretty much tries to make songs that I've heard from other people my own, and I got a big bag of weed. That is his character. That's it. Pretty much that's all that I pretty summed up. And Little Rock decided, I'm gonna get laid! And they run off, and evidently he's a pacifist. And this, of course, triggers Tallahassee completely for him to go on a destruction thing of like, he doesn't use guns and is a pacifist. Roar! I'm like, okay, that never really seemed... It's really weird that these characters were pretty much just like screwed over from the original one, because we had Tallahassee dealing with the trauma of like his son and using it as a puppy and trying to get a Twinkie. And here he's just a one-dimensional father figure from a sitcom, essentially. This has been turned into a sitcom with like really good zombie gore effects. So they decide to help Wichita and everything, and the only thing they've got is a minivan, and Madison decides to go with them as well. They get to one point where they're about to get an RV, and we get a nice action scene as Tallahassee, Wichita, and Columbus fight some zombies pretty crazily. But of course, one zombie pretty much tries to go after Madison, and she's saved, and she's like, oh, thank you. And then we get introduced to the T-800 zombie, which just for some reason takes a fuck ton of shit to kill. It's not even explained why they... Oh, I mean, there's a one cool part where the zombie was dodging bullets, but of course they had to OP the shit out of this to where it'd be like, well, that should be the dominant form of zombie, as it took so much to kill it that Tallahassee had to fucking boot his head and completely destroy the brain man. I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but we're not given a kind of reason why or why this should be important. It's just mainly another obstacle for our other character obstacles to get through the obstacle course of the plot. Well, they try to get out with the RV, fucking destroy the tires, and have to keep going on the minivan. And the thing is, Tallahassee had bequeathed an Elvis pistol to Little Rock. That becomes important later, and Little Rock decides to go with Berkeley to Graceland. They get there, they see Graceland's pretty much destroyed, and they just drive on until they find a hotel place that pretty much has all the stuff from Graceland. We see Columbus actually is able to wear the blue suede shoes, which kind of pisses off Tallahassee. They're like running around before this other person comes in, and that's Rosario Dawson's character of Nevada. And she's like, hey, I almost Bill Murray'd you. And evidently it's become an urban legend as it's been going on that somebody shot Bill Murray because he looked like a zombie. Because he dressed up like a zombie. Don't worry, we still get Bill Murray stuff in this movie for some odd fucking reason. Because it was in the first one, so we got to do it in the sequel. That was kind of funny. We do get some other kind of funny bits of like Zombie Kill of the Year with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That one was a nice kind of one. And then, of course, Zombie Kill of the Century later on. But they had stopped there because they had also seen the Beast, which is what Tallahassee had with the minigun that Little Rock had taken. You can kind of stay here. Tallahassee bones Nevada because they both like Elvis Presley. I'm like, okay, that happens. And then we get to one of the worst parts of the movie. Mainly because even though we've got this simple plot going on, we have to have it bloated with this thing that happens. Where we just get a clone of Tallahassee and a clone of Columbus, and they start cock measuring each other. Tallahassee and Luke Wilson's character, and Columbus and his alter self, Flagstaff. And of course, it was funny seeing Wichita kind of dealing with this. Is kind of crazy, but it was dragged out far too long as we see that the Flagstaff dude has these commandments and everything, and it just keeps going on and on and on, cock measuring with the fucking rules and everything. Like, stop this, please. It would have been just funny for a little bit, but it takes over the whole thing, and they just start talking about, there's zombies on the plains that are being, hardier and everything, and they come in, and we see Luke Wilson and the Flagstaff dude go off and, really kill them all, and evidently they were both bitten, and we just get them having to fight each other. Oh, and by this point, Madison is out of the group because, I was pretty much sure she was having an allergic reaction to the nuts, but it looked like she was turning into a zombie. And we had this whole thing with Columbus pretty much going and making it look like that he was going to shoot her, but evidently he just let her go. That becomes important later because she's driving an ice cream truck, and they get back together. It's like, okay, because Wichita and Columbus pretty much have hammered things out almost by this point until Madison comes back. But Nevada's like, hey, come back if you ever want anything or whatnot, and pretty much gives Tallahassee the ring. They were going to drive the giant monster truck that Luke Wilson had pretty much driven onto the Beast, but they go off. He can't drive it, and they go off in the van, and they find that Little Rock and Berkeley had gotten to this hippie commune of Babylon where they melt down your guns and everything. And I'm like, they're going to get fucked over by zombies at some point, aren't they? But I don't care because they're not characters. They're just plot obstacles and plot things. So they get there, they melt down their guns, which I don't fucking truly understand. They could have just fucking went, I'm going to leave my guns outside because I'm not going to let you melt down my fucking guns. Shit. So they see that Little Rock is okay and everything, and Tallahassee's like, fine, I'm gonna be going. Whatever. Do you do. Pretty much drives on, but sees this giant herd of zombies, T-800s pretty much, going over to Babylon. He comes out and says, we need to kind of help. And this one dude is just going on and on about, group sex. That's his only thing. That is his only motherfucking thing. They also call him a Civil War looking motherfucker, kind of, but that's about it. And they're like, alright, we're going to do this thing, and this is our plan, and they use the biodiesel fuel to pretty much make a flame trap. Like, hey, that's good. We should just take out the rest of the stragglers, and then more of them keep coming in. It's like, shit, we're fucked. But of course, Nevada pops up with her, with the monster truck this time, and just fucking donuts them a good amount. It was a nice spectacle. That's about it. Then they get up top, and you're like, oh god. And they essentially did a running of the bulls buffalo kind of thing because Tallahassee brought that up at some point. And god, we have to do something with that. And he's hanging pretty much off a hook as they're all falling down. And he's got some zombies on him, but of course Little Rock kept the pistol, shoots the zombies off of him, and they're all a good, happy family and everything. And Madison's like, hey, this is the ring meant for her, right? And Columbus and Wichita get together. Madison and Berkeley get together, and Tallahassee and Nevada get together, and Little Rock is still fucked because she doesn't have anybody. But they drive off in Elvis's pink Cadillac, and that's it. Oh, and then at the end, we see pretty much Bill Murray had been promoting a third Garfield movie, and then Al Roker went fucking zombified, and he just starts whooping ass on all these people that had turned zombified, and that's that. I like the humor, the kind of story, and the characters that worked out in the original Zombieland. Granted, it had a simplistic plot, but the thing is that the characters drove that plot. You don't need a completely over-convoluted and complex plot to make a story work. Sometimes it's a simple thing like a quest to go to a certain place or to get a certain thing, like what happened in the first one. Here, it's just everything's too simplified and everything's just so quippy, and it just they mistake quippiness for character. Just because a character says a joke doesn't mean that the character is just the joke that they say. And I think that's kind of lost here in that they just make the repetition of jokes become the character, and that's not the case. What made Tallahassee in the first one wasn't that he just wanted a Twinkie. He wanted to, as they were talking about in the movie, he wanted the remembrance of those good times that he used to have, the world that he lost, the innocence that he has lost. And that's why he's so pissed off whenever he sees snowballs and is never able to get a Twinkie, or a Twinkie is lost to him. And that's why he's so triumphant when he gets that. Here, he's just doing things. He gets the zombie kill of the century by doing essentially the zombie run off the building, which works. But there really aren't characters in this movie. There's just a a disjointed plot that just goes places until it ends. And then Bill Murray pops up at the end because he was in the first one. I wanted to like this more. I had hope more for this, but once you see it, you're like, oh, okay. That's about all you're going to get. So I would definitely hold off seeing this if you see it on like the movie channels or when it comes on TV. It'll be a nice time waster, but I've seen funnier movies. I've seen better action. I've seen better characters, so I would totally pass on this. Yeah. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.